is another Thank God Friday to the start of the weekend. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I am Grace Agbaragu. It's the 19th of December. This is your Money Moves.
All right, let's begin with your news now. Alliance Finance Cameroon lists its multi-tranche bonds on the CEMAC financial market today. The 2025 bond issue raised just over 9 billion CFA franc, slightly below the target of 10 billion CFA franc, and offers two coupon structures, 6% for 3-year bonds maturing in 2028 and 7% for 5-year bonds maturing in 2030. The listing provides an opportunity for investors who missed the July 2025 fundraising to purchase bonds from holders seeking liquidity, helping to deepen the secondary market. The 2025 issue follows the company's 2023 bond, which was the second of its kind in the sub-region after the state of Cameroon. In Ghana, the parliament has approved amendments to the Bank of Ghana Act, tightening limits on central bank financing of the government to protect its independence. The revised law bars the central bank from buying government securities on the primary market and restricts emergency lending to force majeure events such as natural disasters, public health emergencies, or presidentially declared crises. All other direct or indirect government loans are prohibited, with exceptions only for temporary revenue shortfalls under strict caps, repayment terms, and parliamentary approval. The reforms introduced under Ghana's IMF program also strengthen board eligibility rules, enhance audit oversight, and set a framework for joint medium-term inflation targeting, with provisions for state recapitalization of the central bank. Uganda's economic performance is under the spotlight as the Bank of Uganda reviews key highlights from 2025 and sets out the outlook for 2026. The discussion covers growth trends, inflation, monetary policy, and emerging risks as policymakers assess the economy's direction ahead. Here are excerpts.
2025 has been an amazing year on the economic front. Yeah, because as you're aware, Pumla, we've had a lot of global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions, there's been tariffs, there's been uncertainty in the financial markets. And you know, when you look at Uganda, Uganda is a small open economy. So everything that happens, you know, they say when the big economies, they sneeze, we catch a cold. So everything that happens globally, technically, it tends to affect us. But amazingly, we've managed to remain stable. In terms of macroeconomic stability, Uganda has done very, very well. So I think I'd like to break this down in 4 ways that, we've accomplished this year as Bank of Uganda, despite the global environment. And the first issue I'll speak to is inflation, followed by the exchange rate, followed by our reserves. And then, of course, I can't not talk about growth. So looking at inflation, I know I'm speaking to an audience. Some are economists, some are farmers. So really, when we speak about inflation, we are talking about the increase in the price level of goods and services. So in Bank of Uganda, we target a 5% medium-term inflation target. It's core inflation. And by core inflation, what we mean, Pumla, is we exclude food crop inflation, we exclude energy, fuel, and utilities inflation, because that tends to be a bit volatile. So for us to be able to target, 5%, we chose to target core inflation over the medium term. And the medium term, we mean 2 to 3 years' time.
In South Africa, Nedbank Group has warned that its basic earnings per share for the year ending December 2025 will fall by at least 20% following the completion of its sale of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, ETI. The bank announced in a voluntary trading statement that it has sold its 21.2% stake in ETI to Bosque Investments Limited $400 million after receiving all regulatory approvals. The disposal, first announced in August 2025, marks the conclusion of Nedbank's strategic exit from the ETI investment. Meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, FBC Holdings Limited has announced the approval and implementation of the merger between FBC Bank Limited and FBC Building Society with an operational effective date of 30th December 2025. The merger, approved by the Minister of Finance following publication in the Government Gazette, will see all banking assets and liabilities of FBC Building Society transferred to FBC Bank, while its property-related assets will move to FBC Properties Limited. Upon completion, FBC Building Society will cease to exist as a separate legal entity. FBC Holdings said the transaction will not alter its shareholding structure and is expected to improve operational efficiency, streamline regulatory compliance, and strengthen the group's strategic position. In other news, as Nigeria pushes ahead with its digital transformation agenda, inclusion of women and young people is taking center stage as a driver of sustainable economic growth. Speaking on how digital initiatives are expanding opportunities for women, youth, and small businesses, Hajar El Hadoui explains how targeted programs are helping entrepreneurs compete and thrive in the digital economy. Let's listen.
We just launched our We Elevate initiative in Nigeria. We account today, since 2 months of launching this initiative, more than 700 MSMEs from women-led businesses. We Elevate will help women MSMEs to move from offline to e-commerce platform by providing them with digital platform, not only capacity building, that they are digital savvy, financially savvy, and also trade savvy, and it will help them also to get the payment gateway and access to finance, which will raise and completely transform the MSMEs sector for women in Nigeria. We are really glad to collaborate with the Ministry of Women, but also with the Ministry of Technology in that side in Nigeria, and working hand on hands to empower women-led businesses to export and to cross-border also in different markets, including member state and DCO member state. See that one of the unicorn in Africa is coming from Nigeria, and startup is really a very important segment for the GDP and job creation in Nigeria. So therefore, we see some challenges in terms of VCs, investment in those startups, and how they can scale up. Therefore, we established the Stride initiative, where we empower more than 400 startups in Nigeria by providing them with a full ecosystem, a deal zone where they can really have a seat on global stages, like from LEAP, like from STI, FFD4, etc. And we have also the matchmaking event where we account more than 800 VCs, a part of the Stride Association, that gives a strong bridge to the startups to accelerate their growth and to have the next unicorn, hopefully.
Finally, on News Now this Friday, Lena Chonui has provided an update on the African Securities Exchanges Association's AELP project, highlighting progress on building a more integrated, efficient, and connected African capital market. Here are excerpts.
For now, the AELP is facilitating cross-border trading, which then leads to cross-border investment. We obviously have the infrastructure harmonization, which facilitates the forum on Wednesday, discussing the uptake of the AELP and how to make it work for the capital markets, to deepen them and improve the operationalization of the markets in Africa. And so I just want to talk about regulatory harmonization. As had been mentioned, a lot of those are already aligned with best international practices. And the work that we have done towards regulatory harmonization has also been to look at the commonalities in the different regulations within these markets. And I think the biggest part is predictability, that when you go to trade in a foreign country, that you should be able to understand the rules that already are in operation in that market, so that you're not surprised when you get there and you're like, oh, the regulations are so fundamentally different. But then harmonization then already works, global practices, and then we all come to the common threads within these markets.
I am Melissa Enoch, and that's it on News Now today. The show returns after the break with Grace giving us our markets round at the FMDQ Archives Room. Stick around.
We are, as you know, we are Pan-African. It's in our DNA. It's the DNA of householding of our parent group. And our investment thesis is even named after Africa, Africa capitalism. But I can't talk about deals or things that are in motion. I think what I can tell you is that the way we have come today to make an announcement on the second pillar, on flares elimination, I think let's watch this space. We think we would have some announcements to make on the third pillar in the coming months, year 2026. And then for Africa, I think that I have to say, wait, you'll be one of the very first to know. But you should know that we are very active. We've met in a number of the locations in Africa as we are trying to play out and build our Africa playbook. But take that aside, we are looking, and this today is just an indication that we are looking to be impactful in energy, in Nigeria and in Africa.
Welcome back to Money Moves. Let's now go over to Grace for today's market round. Hello there, Grace.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's take a look at how the markets rounded trading for the week, starting off with the equities. The NGX All-Share Index rallied 1.13% in trading today, while the BRM slipped 0.18% to 342.05. The Nairobi Securities Exchange rose 0.39% to 184.55. In South Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange edged down 0.08%, and in North Africa, Morocco's MASI gained 0.43%. Let's do a quick round on some of the Pan-African currencies. The rand weakened 0.29% to 16.78 against the US dollar. The Egyptian pound strengthened 0.16%, while the CFA franc firmed 0.38% to 560.13. The Kenyan shilling was largely unchanged, easing 0.01% to 128.91. The Moroccan dirham gained 0.07%, while the naira advanced 0.46% to 1,461 naira 51 kobo. Let's switch into the commodities data deck, beginning with energy prices. Brent crude climbed 0.52% to $60.13, while US WTI rose 0.53% to $56.45. Natural gas was little changed, down 0.03% at $3.90, while Arobiobi gasoline jumped 0.71% to $1.71 as at 13:12 GMT. Finally, two metals prices. Gold eased 0.18% to $4,356.50, while copper surged 1.85% to $5.53. Platinum added 0.19%. Aluminium gained 0.74% to $2,940.35. And iron ore advanced 0.27% to $106.90 as at 13:13 GMT. And that's our Money Moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you very much for those updates on how the markets wrapped up today. And that's it on today's edition of Money Moves. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching and do have a wonderful weekend, everyone.